3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Dialogue. He is a representative of the International Game Fish Association for Pakistan and the author of Guide to Saltwater Sport Fishing in Pakistan. My guest tonight, Syed Aziz Agha. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
The question that comes to mind, how did you get so hooked onto this?
Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As a kid, I grew up in what is Bangladesh now, in Chittagong. And we had a very big pond right across our house.
Mm-hmm.
It was the biggest pond in the city, Chittagong.
Mm-hmm.
As a young toddler, and as I grew up, because we played around near the pond, and that was my first association with the water. And used to catch small barb, which you have aquarium fish. We used to catch them and put them in bottles, Horlicks bottles. And that's how,
Your mother didn't stop you?
Well, my mother, as far as that goes, I used to take my mother's dupatta, and, brothers used to, pull it from two sides and collect all the fish, and we used to get a lot of scolding. But I think it's very nice to get hooked onto the outdoors very young in life. That's how it started. But saltwater fishing, which is my subject, started in Karachi.
In what
in
year?
71.
In 71.
When we came here.
All right. You started saltwater fishing and immediately caught your first catch, or what?
No, as far as big fish is concerned, no. But I got hooked on in 1972. We used to all pool in. We hardly had any resources.
You used to go on those Manora boats, or what are they called?
Yeah,
Kimari boats.
Kimari, yeah. We used Manora boats, Kimari launches. We used to, pool in, wait for a day, how we've got enough resources to make a trip. And we used to, on a hand line, we used to just catch small fish near the Canop powerhouse of Hawke's Bay.
What was the first fish that you caught?
First fish that I caught in saltwater was bream or snapper.
How big was
first big fish, that's not very big. But
in the book you do say that you never forget the first fish you caught.
First big fish, if you're talking about the marlin, I will never forget my hookup with the marlin, my first big marlin, which I landed.
We'll come to that later, but let's just go back to what you were saying. That
okay, well, we used to keep doing these trips, for years together. Catch small fish with hand lines, no rod and reel. Basically, it is fishing for sport, but it is not called sport fishing because sport fishing also has its rules.
Okay.
So you got to go by the rules, and you've got to do ethical fishing. So we one day while going down to Powerhouse, Hawke's Bay, I had tied artificial squid, an artificial fish lure, to my hand line, and was on a moving boat. I just left it behind the boat, and it was just going putter putter. It's coming behind the boat, and
chugging along.
And when we landed at our destination, about 1.5 hour trip, I was winding in my line, and lo and behold, there it was, the first big fish. I don't know how long it was, pulled along, but it was nearly dead when we picked him up. It was a 23-pound barracuda. That is how it started.
Huge.
That's huge. That's huge. And that's how it all started, and my God, it is history from then on. And I always had it in me because, that you got to have a streak in you. You got to have love for the sport, love for the outdoors, love for the sea. You've got to have an obsession in life. You have to have passion, and I'm very glad, like I said, I've always said this and maintained that, of course, nobody gets a second life, in life. But if I do, I'll be a fisherman all over again.
All over again. Tell me this, you had started Kingfishers Club in 1984. What was the name need for the Fishes Club?
You see, very honestly, Lubna, and got hooked on to the salt water, I realized it's beautiful to be out in the sea, close to nature, out in the wilderness, fish or no fish. I've said that in my book as well, that fishing is fun, fish is bonus. I realized we formed the Kingfishers Club after we started catching big fish, trolling fish, fishing from a moving boat. That is where you catch mackerels and cobias and barracudas and marlins and tunas
And we have an abundance of fish
we have
off our shores.
abundance. I would say.
And some of them are world record-breaking sizes, I believe. And wasn't that one of the reasons that you started the club, that our fish would also be acclaimed, or Pakistanis would also be acclaimed?
Yes, of course, that is my real goal. Being into the sport for about 34 years now, over 3 decades, and promoting it for over 2 decades now. I feel that a lot of people can take to the outdoors. It's just not, I formed the club for people to come out. Karachi, we feel that we had already dislocated and we had come. I needed a break. And let me tell you very honestly, if you look, even if you walk on the streets, or if you drive by and you see the expression on people's faces, the stress that you see, you can see the stress on them. There is no break. There is no concept of outdoors. My club's activity is offshore fishing.
Yes.
Okay, basically offshore fishing club.
Right.
And going outdoors, that is one way to get rid of your stress. Because where do you get the release? I tell people, आओ भाई इस तरफ आओ, come to the समंदर. डरने वाली चीज नहीं. Why are we so afraid? It's just we have this thing in us that समंदर नहीं भाई, अजीज आगा से दोस्ती नहीं करना, ये समंदर में ले जाएगा. Does it make sense?
But you've drawn a lot of people to this sport, and in 1990 you started the Agha Sports Tournament.
Yeah, we started the.
Who thought of it? Just tell me.
I did.
Well, you just one day sat down and said, I need to start a fishing tournament?
I tell you, I was already a fishing guide since 1984, and I was taking the tourists out fishing. This was Dr. Manuel from the UNDP program based in Islamabad. He was a Filipino guy, and he was into big game fishing in Philippines for 35 years. An elderly person. He used to fly in from Islamabad to fish with me. And there it's when he kept telling me, Aziz Agha, you must do these tournaments, and you must get more people. Okay, he gave me rules of the tournaments, how to get started, how to formulate. Like you have cricket, you have rules in cricket.
Of course.
You have rules. This is a game, this is a sport. What fish you catch with a hand line will not be regarded for a record. Like all fish that we catch, I have maintained all records from 1984. Different species, identifying the species. For hours I used to read by mackerel, surmai, kisser, grouper, snapper, hira. As if just बच्चे को नहीं पढ़ाते हैं. I had to go through that drill for years and years, and used to feel that I would feel very embarrassed. Somebody asked me, Aziz यार वो marlin को उर्दू में क्या कहते हैं?
क्या कहते हैं?
Tuna, huh?
क्या कहते हैं?
घोड़ा मछली.
Really?
It's
Okay.
घोड़ा मछली. And you know why they call it घोड़ा मछली?
No.
Sometimes when we used to, see at first light in the morning, at the first break of light, you see the marlin jumping out of the water and trotting like a horse. Small, leaps in the air and goes back into the water. Surfaces again, tuck, 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 goes back into the water. So that's where I think, why did it get a name of Ghoda Machli? I always thought.
Asha, what was the response of your first tournament from the public?
Okay, my first tournament was basically, I